Not only is Aonishiki a freakish level Rikishi, he's also currently a one-man hype machine for Grand Sumo internationally. Of course, his skill on the dohyo and meteoric rise from the bottom of the Bansuke to Ozeki, the second highest rank, are both big reasons for this, but personally what I'm more interested in is his journey from this to this. If you haven't heard it, the quick version of Aonishiki's story is that when he was 17, about to turn 18, he forewent enrolling in a Ukrainian national university and fled with his family to Germany at the start of the war in Ukraine. From Germany, he sought refuge in Japan with the help of Kansai University's sumo club captain Arata Yamanaka, who he met back in 2019 when 16-year-old Danilo, maybe he was 15. Anyway, he was earning bronze in the men's junior middleweight division at the 2019 Sumo World Championships in Osaka. Obviously, there are bigger things in play in that story than sumo, but it's amazing to me that sumo was able to transform this athlete's life so radically and that his success is now helping to transform the lives of other athletes. Aonishiki and fellow Ukrainian Shishi are the two newest members of a long line of European Rikishi and Grand Sumo, but there are already more recruits coming in behind them as Oyakata look to capture the same lightning in a bottle that Ajigawa Heya has caught with Shinozeki Aonishiki. Estonian Anatoly Zadoroznoi has joined Hidenoyama Beya, and Hull England's Nicholas Tarasenko has joined Minato Beya, and both hope to work their way up just like Aonishiki did. But what I think is interesting about all these recruits is their connections to Amazumo, and how Amateur Sumo paved the way for them to be scouted by and recruited into stables in Japan. Both Anatoly and Nicholas had strong showings in the Baruto Cup before being recruited, and Aonishiki and Shishi were both present on the soon-to-be powerhouse Ukrainian team at Worlds in 2019. So with Hakuho recently announcing the next step in his efforts to grow Amateur Sumo, namely that the upcoming edition of the Hakuho Cup will include an adult division, it has me, as a sumo fan outside of Japan, looking toward what could be the future of sumo. Will more international competitors make their way into high-profile positions in Ozumo like Koto Oshu before them? Will those athletes be able to return to their own corners of the globe after their career and continue to grow the sport like Baruto did? And will those efforts lead to more top-level competitors in Grand Sumo? And can this rising tide turn Amateur Sumo in countries across the globe into a proper feeder system for Grand Sumo while spreading sumo to local audiences like Hakuho said he wanted to do? It's a lot of questions running through my head and I don't really have answers, but I know someone who has some. I was fortunate enough to have Goose from the Sunday Morning Sumo show on our audio-only podcast this week, link in the comments, but I wanted to play this excerpt from our episode to springboard a discussion of what sumo looks like where you're at and what you want it to look like. And hopefully encourage you to help grow sumo where you're at however you can, but without further ado, give this a listen.
The reason why the Japanese are so good at amateur sumo is because there's a pro scene over there, and then there's runoff from that. Because of that, there's college tournaments, there's high school tournaments, there's a corporate scene I don't understand anything about, and because of that, there's layers of competition. There's always a tournament that you can go to. There's dedicated clubs that are capable of running a profit in doing sumo, so they can run consistent weekly practice. They can send you to tournament against other places that run practice. And you can send winners from tournaments up and up the ladder. And then there's a pro scene that runs off. There's former pros that are involved in the amateur scene, etc., etc. There's a whole hierarchy and a whole ladder that builds into that. In Australia, there's Joel. He runs training when he can.
Yeah.
And there's layers in between that, right? I don't know what's going on in Portugal. I can only assume it's 4 friends that enjoy sumo and wanted to try it. And then in the middle of that, America's really solved this problem recently. There's a tournament you can go to every month.
Yeah.
The issue is it's across the vast of America, so it's going to be, there's one in America, there's some in California, best one's in Texas. See, in Rollertown 26, on April 24th and 25th, baby, Rollertown Showdown hosted by the Dallas Sumo Club. America has a consistent tournament scene that you can show up to. America has multiple clubs where you can train on a consistent basis. Because of that, the American women's team got silver. Dominus got silver.
Yes.
There's high-level medalists coming out of America because they have that tournament scene and they have that regular practice and they have that consistent interest. There's going to be 5 tournaments in Australia next year. There used to be just Oceanics, which is our qualifier. I'm hosting Goose's Invitational Strongest Under the Heavens down in Kingscliff.
So good.
There's going to be a Sydney. I've been fighting for that name for a long time. It's going to be a Sydney tournament. It's going to be a Melbourne tournament, and then there's another Sydney demonstration thing at some Sakura festival. So we've gone from one tournament a year to slowly building into a structure, and because of that, we're going to start building up our athletes as well. And that's how you develop, literally doing sumo in the grass, just somewhere, into active competitive athletes. Central and Eastern Europeans have a long history of wrestling and grappling. It's just in their blood, which is why, Norway, Uzbekistan, Ukraine, they show up and they do real well in the world amateur scene, because they also have government-funded programs, and they have money coming down from the government into the wrestling scene, and are able to fund things that way. So I don't know what the scene is like over there, but I know that they have a way to make money off of it, right?
So whether it's investment financially or investment of human capital, like whatever you can do to grow sumo in your area, even if that's just finding out what it looks like or how far sumo is away from you currently, I'd be really interested to see what we can do at a grassroots level to grow sumo internationally and maybe get more stories like Aonishiki moving forward, especially if Hakuho ends up putting his money where his mouth is, and maybe that ends up being the big star power that comes to the rescue and ties all these individual efforts from countries around the world together. But either way, give the full episode with Goose and I a listen over at Apple Podcasts or Spotify if you use one of those. But other than that, thanks for listening, everybody.